I was sitting in an orthopedist's office, reading a good book. You always want to take one to a crowded waiting room. So I didn't even see him when he came in. But I looked up from my Harry Potter, and there he was, right in my eye view. And I couldn't take my eyes off him. He was a youngish man. He was wearing a t-shirt with the arms, the sleeves ripped off. But he had the most beautiful skin I've ever seen. It was covered with tattoos, colorful tattoos. His skin looked like it was fabric. I looked away, and then I looked back, and it seemed to me that his right leg was also tattooed, but on closer look, he didn't have a right leg. He had a slip cover pulled up over his prosthesis, but it blended in with his arms. I looked back one more time, and he looked at me. I was a little embarrassed, but I said in just this unexpected blurt, I couldn't stop myself, "Can I ask you about your tattoos?" Now you tell me that you haven't wanted to do that. And he smiled at me. He was a nice looking guy, little beard, and he smiled at me and he said, "Oh, lady, I don't mind telling you about my tattoos. I'll be glad to. But first, I have to tell you about my leg." Oh. I was not interested in his leg. I didn't care about his leg, but I figured out very quickly that was the price of getting the story of the tattoos, so I sat back. I was going home one night late up in Upper Montgomery County, dark, and I must have just dozed off for a second, and I hit a 200-year-old tree, and it smushed my car. It threw me out, face down into the dirt. I didn't know all this. They told me about it later. The first EMT to arrive put his hand on my neck, and he called out and said, "Call for the truck. He's dead." But in Maryland, you'll be glad to know this, it takes two to pronounce. So they had to wait till the captain got there, and he put his hand on my neck, and he felt something. And he said, "Don't get the truck, get the helicopter." And they picked me up, and they rushed me out to the trauma hospital. I tell you, I was a mess. They had to fix my face. How do you think it looks? I think it looks wonderful. He said they had to fix my face. I had trouble with my arms, and they lost my leg. This is the angel that saved my life that night, Upper Montgomery County. And down the inside aspect of his arm was a gorgeous, full angel, gold and white and beautiful. And on the outside were little symbols that was where I was seeing all the color. And this is the tree that almost killed me. And on the inside of his arm was the most menacing, threatening-looking black silhouette of a tree, and the arms all wrapped around, the limbs wrapped around his arm. These are the symbols. I got to ask you more questions. I'm a storyteller. Can I know more about you? You're a storyteller? I said, "Yeah, I want to know more about your story." He said, "Sit back. I'm going to tell you a story." Memorial Day last week, I went down to the mall to ride in Rolling Thunder. Lady, you don't know what Rolling Thunder is, do you? And I said, "Oh, I can't say that I do." He said, "Thousands of people come down to the Pentagon parking lot on motorcycles, and they wait, and then they ride through town with an escorted ride down to the Vietnam Memorial to honor the vets." You can't ride a motorcycle. You've got one of your legs off. Oh, I ride a Screaming Eagle Harley. You don't know what that is either, do you? Well, no, I didn't, but it seemed so important to him. You ought to see the chrome on a Screaming Eagle. It would blind you. Well, I went with my friend. We didn't want to go down to the parking lot of the Pentagon. It's too hot out there. So we rode on down right to the mall. And we thought we'll cruise the vendor tents first. So I rode up and I parked my Harley and I walked over. There he was, sitting right in the doorway of one of those vendor tents. Young man, Iraqi vet, no doubt, Afghan vet, sitting in a wheelchair, 2 legs off. But what I saw, he had on shorts, 1 leg off below the knee, 1 leg above the knee, and he had a computer chip knee. I'd only heard about him. I'd never seen one, and I was drawn to it just like it was a magnet pulling me in. And I kept walking over there, my eyes on his knee. And as I came closer, he looked at me like, I'm gonna blow you away, buddy. What do you want? Oh, I just want to see that knee. And then I realized I had on long pants. I don't wear shorts into something like that. I didn't do nothing to lose my leg. I don't want anybody to come up and think I did. So I reached up and pulled up my pants and said, hey guy, Rev, just go your jets. I got one too. I just want to see your knee. Well, that cooled him down and he let me come over and look at it. What are you doing down here? I'm down here to ride my Harley and Rolling Thunder. You can't ride a Harley. You got 1 leg off. You could ride a Harley if you wanted to. Are you blind or something? Haven't you looked at me? I got 2 legs off. All I'm going to do the rest of my life is sit in this chair. I said, can you stand up? He said, yeah, I can stand up. I said, you wait right here. I'll be right back. Well, lady, I went and got my Harley and I rolled it over. And I turned it on. I parked right in front of him and I turned it on. Vroom, vroom, vroom. And I said, stand up. And I walked over and I helped him, lifted his leg over. He put his butt down on my soft leather seat, scooched to get comfortable. And then I said, put your hands up here and squeeze this power. Room, room, room. His face looked like somebody just come to Jesus. Room, 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 room. He didn't want to get off. And I said, I'm going to have to go. I've got to join my group. But you know something? What's your name? Joe. Joe, you could ride with me next year. You think so? I know so. He gave me his number, and I gave him my number. You know, lady, I think he might just ride with me next year. Some days I go up and I sit in front of that tree up in Upper Montgomery County, and I wonder, why wasn't I killed that night? And I said, thinking about what you just did for that vet, you can ask that question? I said, listen, I'm a storyteller. Can I tell your story? He said, yeah, I'm kind of glad you asked me. Just be sure and tell him my name is David. Thank you very much.